Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Sunday's, yes, Sunday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily. So what is the future for the Doctor? What is the future of Doctor Who? What does it hold? Well, I don't have a magnifying glass. All I can do with you here today is make some guesstimations. I think dramatic changes are on the way, and I think these are dramatic changes that will shock us, the audience, the BBC and everyone involved or who loves Doctor Who. I think the changes are that deep because nobody really saw this coming. Nobody really saw Russell T Davies returning. A lot of us kept on saying through the years, bring him back, bring him back. He didn't even seem like he wanted to come back. So an absolute shocker. But I think Russell T Davies is really going to pull some trees here, and it's exciting. It's also unsettling because we really don't know what he's going to do. And I think this is the most interesting thing about it. Does he go back to type and do what he did originally? Or does he do something so brand new, so ambitious? You would imagine whatever Russell does will work. But we are in a situation with Doctor Who where the interactiveness between the fans and the people making it isn't great. You know, Chibnall keeps on saying it's not a democracy. Now, maybe it's not a democracy. You should never say that publicly. And so the future of Doctor Who is quite fascinating to me, by the way, because everything's very mysterious right now. And look, we've just had some marketing for season 13. I'm very excited for season 13. I hope Chibnall's era and Whittaker's era finishes on a high. Not necessarily for them, just for the show in general. The show needs to be on a really strong stage. But there's no question, Russell will come in and he's going to change what's been a drab affair in terms of the Chris Chibnall era. And something about Russell T Davies' Doctor Who, you can never accuse it of being drab. You can accuse it of a lot of things. It can be corny, it was very positive, not that that's a bad thing, sometimes overly positive. Oh, the human race. After a while, I think that kind of got to me a little bit. But ultimately, Russell T Davies' era was great. But at times, it was overly positive. Well, we're not really in an overly positive time. Just go on social media. And also, look, the industry is in a place right now, the world is in a place right now where it's political civil war. Every industry is a political civil war. YouTube is at political civil war, not the company, but people on it. You know, the content creators. Everyone is stating what side they're on. Now, I was brought up by a Labour voter, so I've always voted Labour. So my motto has always been, if someone's on the floor, lift them up and give them some help. That's been my opinion. Now, from what my understanding of the right-wingers, it's everyone's got to stand up for themselves, and it's every man, every woman, every person, however you identify as, you know, every person, you know, has to look after themselves. There's a different mentality there. Nobody's political opinion is wrong. And I think that's the era we're in right now. So Doctor Who has become increasingly political. The BBC has always been very left, and their messaging has always been very, very blatant. And that's been a thing really for the past 20, 30, 40 years. It's not a new thing. I suppose the new thing about it is the way they're doing it. It's a lot more blatant. When you come out and say you're cancelling Holby City because it's not representative enough of the world we live in, that's a problem. And why can't you just make it representative of the world way we live in? Why can't you just be more inclusive in the way you cast, the way you write? But they said where it was filming wasn't very inclusive. Again, very, very weird opinions. It's a very weird motivation to cancel something. And I did a video on this channel. I was very frustrated when I first heard about that cancellation because Holby City should never have been cancelled. And so we're all very political, and we're all at political civil war. You know, a young woman dies and, you know, there becomes a civil war. It's all men, it's not all men. You know, and it all gets rather silly and everyone kind of feels uncomfortable. and our anxiety kicks in, because as a man, when I hear people saying it's all men, my anxiety kicks in. Having experience of walking the streets on my own, walking my friends home when we were young, and then walking on a Saturday night in the UK really late, I was scared. I used to look behind me. If someone was on the same side of the road as me walking towards me, I used to cross the other road. And so we do live in a world of hot political takes, and Doctor Who, under the Chibnall era, has become a hot political take. And I don't know what's going to happen now. That's true. I don't know if RTD is going to go, let's go back to entertaining people. Let's make great Doctor Who and forget about the rest. Because TV and film always had political commentary and environmental commentary. It was just not as blatant. But now they really want to hammer this point home in the entertainment industry. And this is what's happened with Chibnall's Doctor Who. It's become very, very lectury, and that really was the problem. People don't want to be lectured to. People want to watch Doctor Who, chill out, talk about it online with their mates, and look forward to next week's episode and try and work out the mysteries or that season's story arc, or say, oh, I don't like this arc, or I do like this arc. Just have a conversation. But the conversation became about something else. Firstly, by casting the first female Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker. But it became beyond that, because at the end of the day, as I say, when you cast the first female Doctor, it should be something that you work on, so, you know, instinctively, to make it the best thing. Because what you do is you let down the first female Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker, because it's not enough to be the first. It's not. The creativity has to be on a level. This is Doctor Who. The creativity and the entertainment level, mostly, wholeheartedly, has always been very, very good. It's always been fun to watch Doctor Who. It was certainly fun to watch Russell T Davies' Doctor Who, and mostly fun to watch Stephen Moffat's Doctor Who. One thing we can say, it hasn't been fun at all to watch Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who. There's not many gags, because he comes across as a very serious person with not much charisma. And that's not me being cruel, he just seems charismaless. But when you see someone like Stephen Moffat talk, or someone, especially Russell T Davies, these guys are full of charisma, and that's why their eras were full of charisma. And Doctor Who, the character, has always been full of charisma. So that's what Doctor Who will get again with the return of Russell T Davies. And, you know, we sit here on the precipice not knowing who he's going to cast. Now, personally, I've never cared what demographic the Doctor is, because for me, it's the actor you choose and the showrunner. But this is what I'm saying, we're at political civil war. You know, if Russell casts someone from the LGBTQ community, there'll be a battle. If it's someone from a minority or a woman again, there'll be a battle. The problem is, it isn't just the people who don't like these type of demographics cast. It's also the people that are defending this kind of thing, because those people trigger everybody else with the way they talk. As I say, there's nothing wrong with, you know, wanting to be inclusive and casting different people from different corners of the UK to be more representative. That's fine. First of all, you have to make sure the role of the Doctor is cast well and written well. So I have no issues with either of these things with Russell T Davies. He will do both those things very, very well. And Doctor Who will be back to its best. No question. But unfortunately, when Russell T Davies was making Doctor Who in 2005, you could pretty much do and say what you wanted in Doctor Who. Now everything's going to be overanalyzed. Russell's not going to be used to this. Because really, he had some heat when he was Doctor Who showrunner, but really, Twitter wasn't as big back then, social media wasn't as big back then, and everything you did as a Doctor Who showrunner wasn't analysed. And I suppose in a way, the Chris Chibnall era has given us a bit of PTSD, so we're a bit paranoid with everything we're going to see and hear, and that's also a problem as well. So I think Russell's going to have a short, sharp shock, because he's been working on projects, let's be fair, that people have watched and enjoyed, but there's not much interest in. You watch them, he gets his awards, he always gets awards because he's so talented, but no one's really still talking about the stuff he's done. It's a Sin was great. The other things he's done were great, but there wasn't much pressure and attention in doing them apart from Russell T Davies doing them. But he is putting he's putting his head back in the oven. And this is going to be a very different world he's getting back involved with. And this is Doctor Who, one of the biggest, most iconic, long-running IPs. Listen, Russell doesn't need me to remind him the pressure cooker he's going back to. And I think if he thinks that I'm Russell T Davies and I'll get away with anything, I think he's hugely wrong and he's making a big mistake. So everyone is watching Russell and the decisions he makes, but it's not the same as what he did then. He was under quite a little pressure. Yes, coming back to do Doctor Who, an iconic property, brings its own pressure, but the pressure on people making television now and films and entertainment and even, you know, theatrically, you know, I write and direct and star in my own plays here in Cyprus. The pressure's there. Why haven't you represented that demographic? Why is there not enough people from that demographic, you know, and that gender? You're under those types of pressure. And this is the pressure Russell's going to be in. Listen, so let's say he casts a woman of colour as the Doctor. Every other person from every other minority will say, why didn't you cast someone from my minority? Because you can't represent everyone. And there lies the problem. Now, especially something else the entertainment industry are doing now, they're representing the most represented minority. And I won't go too deeper than saying that, because I don't want to get my channel into trouble. So the most represented minority keeps on getting represented because they're louder than everybody else, but everybody else gets blindsided. Now, I'll be honest, I think representation and inclusion is important, that you represent all corners of the UK. I said that earlier, but it's not that important to me. I don't care what demographic gets cast. I will embrace anyone as the Doctor, even a kangaroo, a dinosaur. Well, they don't exist anymore. But you know what I mean? It doesn't bother me what demographic gets cast. For me, it's about who gets cast. What are their qualities? You know, and with Russell being a great writer, you know, and has a great eye for talent, I have no issues with it. I know it'll be great. But unfortunately, everyone isn't as easygoing as I am. And this is the problem that Russell's going to find. This isn't the world he left. Everyone's on one constantly. He's going to be questioned. He's going to be criticised, even when he doesn't deserve to be criticised. Everyone's in love with the guy right now, but he's coming, as I say, he's coming back to a different world. I feel sorry for him. I genuinely do. Because I suspect he doesn't get it. He doesn't get, well, he must get it. He's an intelligent man. And maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he thinks he's bulletproof. But, his Doctor Who was winning awards, getting record-breaking viewers. And when you come back after having such a success story with something so iconic, you know, people are going to expect that success again. And if it doesn't happen, that's a problem. But he is the Sir Alex Ferguson of Doctor Who. And his record is second to none, with other dramas winning awards, getting top ratings. So Russell T Davies has got a great reputation amongst fans, and especially Doctor Who fans. And he always works on the same level. I've never seen a crappy Russell T Davies piece of writing or show, especially since Doctor Who. You know, his record has been second to none. And that's important to remember as well. I'm not being negative here. I'm just saying Russell is walking into a different world. It's not the same world anymore. So I'm totally 100% confident in who he chooses, no matter who that is. And I'm 100%, confident about, the storytelling and the character development and nuances he will give us. And my only worry is whatever he does, he can't win. And then we go to the companion. Will it be a male companion? Will it be a woman? Will it be a woman of colour? Will it be someone from the LGBTQ community? Again, It's people are watching for these things. I see it on Twitter all the time. Oh, why didn't you cast someone like me? Oh, what, you know, these people don't get much cast and these people don't get represented. That's what we're up against now. And I read this on social media and I think it's nuts that all people care about is the demographic that's being cast and not the storytelling and the entertainment value. It's like people have been trained to think like this now. And it's such a tragedy. I think we live in one of the worst eras in human history. Now, of course, it's great now that people are being called out for racism and sexism and, you know, wrongdoings. And people are demanding more representation and inclusion because it wasn't happening when I was a kid and when I was growing up. But your TV and movies just can't be about that. You've got to write great stories. You've got to develop great characters once you represent and include. Because if all you want to do is see someone like you, then maybe you're interested in the wrong industry, because we are here to entertain and educate people. And that's what Doctor Who's mantra has always been. Entertainment and education. And that goes back to the people who first created Doctor Who. We know that. So it's all very well seeing someone like you, but there has to be more. And that's the problem with the Chris Chibnall era. There was never more. That was it. And in the end, Jodie Whittaker can feel very, very let down, because I would feel very let down if representation and inclusion was that important to me. And, you know, at the end of the day, everyone's obsessed with who will be the next James Bond, who will be the next Doctor. We keep on hearing about a female James Bond. People have serious debates, I'm being serious, about a female James Bond. It's nuts, right? But this is where we are now. Now, I do care about that because James Bond is a guy, right? So surely James Bond should always be a guy. That's it. That's all I care about. And once, but you see, they did it. They did it, you see. They knew James Bond's a guy and they couldn't kind of cast a woman unless James Bond has a sex change, right? So they took the 007 away from Bond and gave it to a woman of colour. They did it. Literally, you know, they literally killed off James Bond now. So Naomi now could be the new 007 forever, going around doing heroic stuff, and that could be the franchise. That literally now may be the franchise. They may never be a James Bond again. And even if there is a new James Bond, he could be the co-star to the new 007. This is where we're headed for now. And the industry will continue to double down on things like this. And I say this about many, many things. If you don't like the way the industry's headed, don't watch what they give you. If they do things to your characters that you loved all your life, watch the versions of the characters and read the versions of the characters that you enjoy. Because we don't have the power to stop them from doing what they're doing. We know there's a lot of, you know, gender swapping, cultural background swapping with iconic characters. It happens all the time, and we ask the question, why can't you just create original characters that are representative and inclusive and make them awesome? Because they're creatively bankrupt and they're lazy, and actually doing this is controversial, which causes a fuss and brings more attention onto it. Now, more often than not, when these decisions fail within the public and consumers' persona, and they don't make the money and they don't get the ratings and they don't get the box office, mostly. Now, it's interesting with Doctor Who because the Doctor has never had the divine right to be a straight white male, because the Doctor can regenerate into anyone or anything. So what I've just been talking about swapping genders and cultural backgrounds doesn't count with Doctor Who. People came in. A female was cast to play the Doctor, and her first episode broke records. What that actually means, people, is people didn't give a shit that she was a woman, but people were intrigued to see how it would go. Now, clearly, people weren't that impressed, not because she was a woman, but with the way the narrative with the new Doctor went. So people walked away from the first episode onwards. But a female being cast as Doctor Who didn't send the ratings crashing. It was the lack of storytelling, nuance, fun, and character development. People didn't like what they saw. And so that's not an issue with Doctor Who. What what demo is playing the Doctor. It's immaterial because the Doctor can regenerate into anything or anyone. But the future of Doctor Who right now is clouded. It's exciting, but it's clouded. Because being a Doctor Who fan, we've been here so many times not knowing what's next for the show. But now, as I say, we are in a period of political civil war. And I hope Russell thinks about this, because he's been talking a lot politically while collecting awards and, giving his opinions politically about this government as well. But I think he has to think carefully this time, because what decisions are made with Doctor Who now could either make the show thrive and the character and the IP thrive, or kill it forever. This has been the Doctor Who Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. I'll be back tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. Like, share, comment. Please subscribe. Smash the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I will see you again tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.